Provence in South France is a dreamscape that has inspired painters, poets and travelers for centuries. Known for its rolling lavender hills, hilltop villages, amazing coastline and sun-drenched vineyards, this region offers a perfect blend of natural beauty, cultural richness and Mediterranean charm. But let's keep it real, it's not all perfect. The summer can turn you into a walking baguette, traffic jam can make a 10-minute drive last an hour, and parking in tiny hilltop villages is an Olympic sport. Still, these are minor inconveniences compared to the sheer beauty and pleasure that Provence delivers. If you're wondering where exactly you should go in this enchanting region, here is your essential guide. And just as important, one place we advise you to skip. And since I don't speak French, I apologize in advance for butchering their names. If you fly into southern France, Nice is probably where you arrive. This city itself is definitely worth a stay for a while since it has a soul that swings between aristocratic elegance and Mediterranean warmth. The famous Promenade des Anglais, named after the 19th century English visitor who demanded a stylish walking path to parade their parasols, runs for miles along the sea where the beach is actually nice and pleasant. The old town is a colorful maze of narrow alleyways, vibrant squares and markets, and the whole city feels inviting and vibrant. If you don't have a car, which we highly recommend for visiting Provence, there are actually good connections by train from Nice to the rest of the coast. If you go east from Nice, literally around the corner of the harbor, the mountains are suddenly big and imposing, and you will find some small towns that all seems like they are part of Nice itself, but have their own sense of belonging and own charm. These are towns like Villefranche-sur-Mer and Moustiers-Sainte-Marie that have compact and dense townscapes hugging the mountains and revealing surprisingly nice beaches here and there. These are easy to visit from Nice, and as always, the best advice is to go by e-bike or similar, since driving these narrow streets and finding a place to park your car is next to impossible. And just next to Villefranche-sur-Mer, you will find Cap-Ferrat, home to some of the wealthiest people in France, but also a surprisingly calm and beautiful place to visit, with the small village Saint-Jean as a place to hang out and Plage Paloma the place to take a swim. There is also a walking trail around the peninsula, and all in all, a magical place to escape the more crowded areas closer to the mainland, and only a few minutes away. The village of Baux is really a paradox for us. First of all, it is the kind of place that looks photoshopped even in real life. Placed dramatically 400 meters above the sea, this medieval village is all stone alleys, secret courtyard and ivy-covered facades. Getting around involves climbing a lot, but every corner reveals another jaw-dropping view or a charming artisan workshop. This alone should be the reason why you have to come here, but when you do, you will experience massive traffic jams and hordes of day tourists that fill up the streets, so you will feel more like in Disneyland than in France. So sadly, if you want to visit this little village, come really early morning or really late evening or out of season. Otherwise, you will experience the worst of what mass tourism has to offer. Further east, tucked between the glamour of Monaco and the border of Italy, Menton is the introvert of the Riviera, quiet, modest, and all the more charming because of it. With serene beaches, lush gardens, and pastel-colored facades that looks like a watercolor painting coming to life, this town invites you to slow down, breathe in the citrus-scented air known for its annual lemon festival. Menton also boasts a fusion of French and Italian culinary delight. Wander up the hillside, Old Town, for the view that will steal your breath away and provides you with those essential holiday photos that will make your friends jealous. West of Nice, you'll find Cassis. This might just be Provence's best kept secret, and the locals would probably prefer it to stay that way. But this colorful fishing village wraps around the sunny harbor, dotted with small boats that looks like rubber ducks in a bath. It's smaller and quieter than its flashy Riviera Gassin, which is exactly why people love it. Seafood here are fresh, affordable, and best enjoyed with a glass of local white wine from the surrounding vineyards. Cassis is also the gateway to Calanques, these famous fjord-like inlets that are practically begging to be kayaked. Whether you're hiking a trail, sipping on wine, or just lounging at a cafe pretending to write your novel, Cassis delivers the quintessential provincial experience. Imagine towering white cliffs plunged into Caribbean blue water, secret coves you can only reach by boat or by braving a trail that makes your lung cry, and the echo of the cicadas buzzing in the summer heat. Welcome to the Calanques. Stretching from Marseille to Cassis, this stunning natural inlet makes up one of France's most dramatic national parks. Bring plenty of water, steady shoes, and a strong will, especially if you are hiking in August, and be ready to share the experience with adventurous local and savvy travelers who somehow discovered this not-so-hidden paradise. That said, the effort pays off handsomely. For those who prefer a less athletic approach, boats from Cassis offer a chance to look at this scenery from the comfort of a shady deck. But to be honest, if you do that, you will miss out on experiencing the real beauty of the area. Toulon often flies under the radar, which is precisely why it's so appealing. As a major naval base, it has a working-class soul that's refreshing compared to its more tourist-polished neighbors. The old town, once a bit scruffy, has blossomed with hip cafes, colorful street markets, and arts galleries. And the best thing about it, you are more likely to meet local French people here at the restaurants than a horde of tourists. Take the cable car up Mount Ferron for an amazing view of the harbor and surrounding mountains, or simply spend an afternoon people watching at one of the city's sprawling plazas. Toulon feels real, like a place where French family actually live, work, and argue loudly over pasties. If a fairy tale village crash-landed on a mountainside, it would look like Moustiers-Sainte-Marie, with its cobblestone streets and artisan shop. Waterfalls run through the center of the town, adding a gentle soundtrack to your strolls, and if you're up for a hike, going up to the chapel above the village is steep but scenic, and the views from the top is stunning. The bad thing about this is that it is really crowded in the summer, so even though it's worth a visit, don't expect to spend too much time here. That said, it's really pretty, and if you have a bike or have broad paddleboards, the surrounding area is beautiful, and you don't have to go far from the village to avoid the massive crowds of tourists. If you're tired of beaches and want to see Mother Nature at the most flamboyant, Gorges du Verdon is just next to Moustiers-Sainte-Marie. This staggering canyon is a Turkish scar carved through the limestone cliff up to 700 meters high. You can kayak, canoe, or even paddleboard through the gorge if you fancy a workout and a tan at the same time. All this can be rented at the beginning of the gorge, and if you get tired of all the other tourists because you will not be alone, try to come early morning or late afternoon. For the daredevils, there's rock climbing, where you can jump into the river from the cliffside, and people even jump from the bridge at the beginning of the gorge. Apparently, it is not allowed to swim in the gorge, but nobody takes notice of that. Baux De Provence is what happens when a medieval fortress and a rock concert venue falls in love and have a very cultural baby. Situated high in the Alpine mountains, the village offers sweeping views over the surrounding countryside, and a healthy reminder to wear sensible shoes. Its cobbled lane leads to the usual artisan shop, wine bars, and historical treasures, all crowned by the dramatic ruins of the castle that looks like it could still repel invaders. One of the highlights is Carrière de Lumière, an immersive light show in a former quarry where famous artwork are projected built on cavernous stone walls. It's part museum, part magic, and fully mesmerizing. Once a humbling fishing village, Saint-Tropez was catapulted to fame in the 1950s thanks to Brigitte Bardot and a lot of Hollywood glitter. Today, it is a bloated caricature of its former self, unless you enjoy overpaying for everything from parking to cappuccino foam, fighting off crowds of tourists clutching designer shopping bags, and spending hours gridlocked in traffic. Saint-Tropez will leave you wonder why you bothered. Sure, the yachts are impressive, but after a few minutes of yacht envy, you realize there's not much else. Worse, the town's tiny center gets so packed in summer that simply walking requires the aggression of a rugby player and the patience of a monk. But the area around Saint-Tropez is one of our favorite parts of the coast, so if you come by car or bike, it is the right place to be a bit adventurous. Just drive around discovering hidden gems all around, like the small village of Gassin or Plage de Gigaro, which is a favorite beach for Henrik and Anders and their all-consuming love for paddleboards. But whatever you look for, Provence deliver. Just don't come here in August, where the French and the Italian have their own summer vacation, and make sure your credit card is fully charged. Hope you enjoyed our top 9 places to visit in Provence, and if you liked the video, you will also like this one. So until next time, safe travels and may the adventure always find you.